goodness. Well, tonight's topic is a good one.
Right. We're picking up where we left off last week with toxic relationships, but we're talking about toxic relationships with self. And I did some research. And so, what I'm going to do is talk about like a few signs of how you could be in a toxic relationship with yourself. But I'm going to ask you how to manage it because you're the expert.
Okay. I
So,
have some things to look out for too. Three things that I believe create toxic relationships with yourself. So we can
oh,
talk about
look.
that.
Okay. I wonder if we'll cross paths.
Oh, maybe. Hey, Michelle. How are you? Hi, Carolyn. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you. So maybe we should introduce ourselves because there might be some people that don't know who we are.
Right, because we've been doing this for a minute. Well, I am Shirley Brooks, for those of you who don't know. Um, and that's really it. I'm just me. I don't really know how to like talk about myself, but I can tell you who Jennifer is. Jennifer is an amazing life coach, speaker, and happiness guru, and she is an expert inner bully slayer. And she
Thank
can
you.
go on to the rest about herself.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll tell you about Shirley. Shirley is an amazing social media guru. She is an amazing, what are you to me? You're like everything. You're like my business partner, you're the social media person, you're the one that kicks my butt when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, just
She does
accountability
that for me too, though.
partners.
Yeah, we're each other's accountability partners. Yes,
Good
but
all.
she's way better at it than me. But yeah, so that's what we are. And every Sunday, we try to come on at 7 o'clock and do our Slay Sunday sessions and just talk about different things that we think will help you live life happier to the core.
Yes.
And that's why tonight's topic is on toxic relationships, but not just with other people, like we talked about last week, but you can actually have a toxic relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Hi, Carolyn Austin. Hi, Ina. I haven't seen you guys in so long.
Hey,
So I'm
Amanda.
just waving at you. Hi,
Hi,
Kimberly.
Kiss.
All right. So um, I have some things, and she has some. With her being the expert on this, I'm going to ask her how to handle some of them, but she also has some things as well. So we're just going to go ahead and, hi, Chrissy. We're going to go ahead and get started. You said you have three, so we might have a total of seven signs, unless ours cross up.
They might cross up. They might cross
That,
up because mine are
yeah, they might.
broad. Like mine are broad, and yours might be specific. So
Okay. So we have 4 to 7 signs that you are in a toxic relationship with yourself. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can have a toxic relationship with yourself just like you can with anybody else. We usually think of toxic relationships in terms of a partner, a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, or even a boss. But you can treat yourself in a crazy way too, just like you feel you may gain or have happened from relationships with other people. Some of the signs that you might be in a toxic relationship in general are that you could feel drained when you encounter this person. You feel like you're constantly being judged by this person. They have a lot of negative energy towards you. Drama is always around when you guys are together. You feel trapped. You don't feel like your self worth is beaten down. You're unhappy most of the time, uncomfortable, stagnant, or stuck in a rut, or there's a great deal of criticism or a constant sense of uncertainty. And all of those signs that you could experience with another person, you actually can experience from being in a toxic relationship with yourself.
yeah,
Do you agree? Hi,
totally,
Rashana.
totally
Hi,
agree.
Samantha. Hi, Tara. Totally. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm just going to dive right into one of the first signs that you are in a toxic relationship with yourself. But before I do, those signs I mentioned, feeling trapped or your self worth is beaten down, or you're unhappy most of the time, or uncomfortable, stuck, or stagnant, drop us a one or give us a thumbs up emoji if you feel sometimes that not just with people you deal with, but maybe in just dealing with yourself, you're feeling drained lately, or you're constantly judging yourself, or you're feeling negative energy toward yourself, because that's what we want to help you with today. And hi,
Hey,
Tara.
Michelle,
Thanks for saying hello.
Mandy, Tara, hello. Thanks for joining.
Yes. So while you guys comment on if you feel that, one of the first signs that you might be in a toxic relationship with yourself is that you are your own worst enemy. And that could look like always having moments of self doubt that keep you from having the confidence necessary to move into you feel trapped the day to day. Right, Miss Tara, right.
Hmm.
Um, that could be a sign. That could be a sign. Um, but if you this sign that you're always your worst enemy, you're always having moments of self doubt that keep you from having the confidence necessary to move into a space of authority with those around you. You are captive to your own overly critical thoughts, and it's becoming obvious to others. What do we do when we're feeling like that? And did I steal one of yours?
You know what? Mine are more causes. Hey, Bram. So maybe I'll tell you about the causes, and then what you're talking about are the symptoms. It looks like. So
Right, mine are symptoms.
right.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so that's where we branch off.
there we go. See, we're such a good partnership. There you go.
I know. It just is like yin and yang. It just works out.
Rashana says, yes, I honestly feel that way. I've been feeling that way more lately. So I was thinking
Oh,
about this a lot this afternoon, and based on my own experience and experience with clients, what I find causes these toxic relationships we have with ourselves or anything that really impacts our mind. So, one
mm-hmm.
is the relationships we have with other people, the people we choose to bring into our lives. That can cause us to have a toxic relationship within ourselves, and we'll dig deep into that in a little bit. The other thing that can cause toxic relationship is anything that we put into our bodies. So that means it could be food, alcohol, drugs, any of that stuff, because how what we put into our body is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves, right? And I'm not talking about
Wow.
cheating and having, chocolate cake every now and then, because you can love yourself and still do that. But I'm talking about when you are putting stuff into yourself that you know is toxic for yourself. You know it's going to make you sick. You know that you're going to feel bad about yourself after you eat it. All of that is, those are signs of how do you really feel about yourself. You might say, yeah, I love myself, but then you eat a whole pizza in one sitting, and you know that that's not good for your arteries. You know it's not going to be good for your alertness. You just know, right? And you know how you're going to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third thing is your behavior. The way you manage your behavior can be toxic for yourself, because if you are the type of person where you're going to just scream at somebody when they piss you off and rub you the wrong way, then what's that say about you? Do you value yourself and how you are regarded? Yes, I understand. I totally get when people say, I don't care what people think about me. Well, you're in a world where we are social beings. You should care about
Mm-hmm.
what people think about you. Not necessarily just in the sense of being a person that is respectable. You might not like
Right.
somebody, but you might respect them for what they do, right? And then you might
Yeah.
not like somebody and not respect them because they act like a jerk, right? So there's a difference. So those three things can create toxicity within yourself.
Got it. So you gave us the what, the who, and the how. What being toxic can do is it affects what you put in you. If you're in a toxic relationship with yourself, one of the things you might do is not take care of yourself correctly, and it could be in what you eat or what you do to yourself. You also said who you associate with,
Hmm.
and when with the who you associate with part, could you talk about that just a little bit more?
Sure. So sometimes we're in a relationship out of loyalty, like we grew up with certain friends and we don't want to get rid of them because, um, they're my road dog. We've been together from the time we were 5. I can't just push them away, but they might be extremely negative. They might
Okay.
constantly put you down. They might constantly remind you of every single mistake you've ever made in your life. And that
Okay.
feeds into the inner bully that we all have, right? And that I am not a person that likes to cut people off, but I will push people away. Like I won't hang out with people who are toxic, right? I have to
Mm-hmm.
build myself up to be around them, basically, right? So
It's interesting because go ahead, go ahead, go
no, no,
ahead.
no, no, go. It's fine.
So I was going to say, like, when we're talking about the who aspect of it, it's like all of us get nervous about, like you said, with the loyalty thing, and you feel guilty because you're like, I've known this person for so long, and like, what if they feel bad? Like, you're worried about their feelings more than you're worried about your own.
Yeah, and
You know, when they're you feel bad about you.
mhm.
Tara says loyalty to friends and family. Yeah, this is what we talked about last week, especially family who are toxic, and that's it right there, Tara. It's really hard to let go of toxic relationships when, especially when it's your own family.
Yeah.
And you know, it doesn't mean that you have to like 100% cut people off. You just know how to handle them. Like, you know, not to talk about certain things with those people. Yeah, it's very hard to cut family off, and you know, maybe it's what Shauna says, right? That's so true. I have been able to realize my own behaviors from my relationship. I've been able to notice a lot of my own toxic behaviors from that. Right. And that's the other thing too. So yeah, with the toxic family members, it's not so much cutting them off, just avoid the interactions that put you in a place where you feel like it's toxic, right? So if it's one of those things where you're always on the phone and you're always talking about something negative, maybe you avoid those discussions or avoid putting yourselves in that situation to talk about those things.
You
But
know, people eventually get it. Like people
right.
eventually, if you say, if someone starts talking about something and you don't want to talk about it, and you say, you know what, can we talk about something else? And they continue,
Right.
and you say, I gotta go. And then the next time they call and they
Mhm.
start talking about it, and you say, sorry, I gotta go. And eventually they're gonna get it. But it's interesting. I was talking to a client the other day, and she was talking about some of her friends. She said, you know, they're so negative and they're so this. And I said, sometimes when we've got to protect ourselves, sometimes we're going to go through a period of loneliness, right?
Mhm.
Where we're going to be lonely. And during that time, that's the best time to really get to know you know? And when you take a stand for yourself, it's like the universe responds and starts bringing in the people that need to be in your life. But if you have your life crowded with people who are creating toxic an environment for you, then there's no room for those other people to come in. So,
That makes sense. It makes total sense. So you got to empty that cup and fill it up with make space for better new relationships. And going back to what Washawn was talking about, she said she noticed from interactions, like in relationships with other people, she noticed her own toxicity, like how she's affecting it,
mhm,
right? And that was one of the things that I had on my list here. You know, how we can be our own worst enemy, and sometimes it shows itself in how we are to other people. If you're toxic to other people, it is a sign that you are in a toxic relationship with yourself.
yeah.
And one of the big things you might notice is that, you know, it could even be getting out of control, like your negative thinking and your self punishing behavior could become drastic. And it could go on for quite some time until somebody points it out to you. And sometimes you don't even want to hear it from them. But it's good when we can self evaluate and recognize that what we're doing is seeping out of us and affecting other people. How do you manage that? How do you manage when your toxicity, well, give us some examples of what that looks like. What maybe you've seen in your some of your clients where they're them being toxic to themselves has affected their relationships with people.
Well, the one thing that I want to say is that hurt people, right? And so if you're feeling hurt inside, then you are going to, it's a natural thing. If we don't have that ability to manage ourselves, then we will hurt other people, right? So sometimes that's because of stuff that has happened, experiences that we've gone through, and we need to work through those things. A lot of times when people go through tough times, like whether it's some sort of abuse in their childhood or whether it's a relationship that went south and they were devastated afterwards, and people will just try and shut that away, like say, you know what, I've dealt with it, I'm just gonna put it away. But they haven't really dealt with it, they haven't gone to the root of whatever it is, and it'll
Mm-hmm.
come back. That's the thing. We can't push things away. It will always resurface in some way. So any type of hurt that we've gone through in our life, if we don't process it correctly, then we are going to have to um, eventually deal with it. And when we don't, the problem is that we become toxic to ourselves, right? And we start treating people poorly, or we're very impatient, or we become extremely stressed very easily. All of those things, like stress, they've looked they're telling us now that stress is one of the number one killers out there. And I know, especially within the Black community, that mental health is not something that we want to admit to, or that we will go seek help for. It's getting better now, but it's really important that we go out and we get the professional support that we need.
I missed the stress part because my phone rang. You said that there are studies that are showing that stress
Stress is of number one
is what?
is one of the number one killers out there for people, because
Oh yeah.
we bottle it all up inside, and it takes form in various ways. It can take form in uh, decreasing our immunity. It can take form in headaches, in stomach aches. It can cause serious illnesses. So it's so important that we deal with that stress. The other day, I went to a naturopath because I've been dealing with some physical ailments of my own, and I was telling her about my life, and she said, and at the end of it, I said, yeah, so that's about it. And she's like, that's about it? You deal with more things
Right.
than the average person deals with in a lifetime.
And
And I'm like,
to do. Right.
and she
Right.
said, what your body is doing, your body, like you might have dealt with it psychologically, but your body is holding on to things, and the stress is causing all of these ailments for you. And I'm like, oh, dang. Like, so, okay. So I got to take my own advice. Got to
Right.
take
And
my
it's
own
funny
advice.
because that was one of my things too, that a toxic relationship with yourself can affect you in a physical and mental way. Your physical and mental health can suffer. And some of the things you see, like you said just now, are headaches, insomnia, fatigue, lack of appetite, anxiety. It can affect your work performance.
Hmm.
Obviously, it can affect your relationships, because you have like escalated feelings of inferiority.
Yeah.
Um, in reference to maybe your self-worth, but what you ingest, like we talked about earlier, can have an impact on that. And people say things like, I stress eat,
Yeah.
or you know, when I'm stressed out about things, I have a hard time going to sleep. So insomnia is, things is one of the things that affects me. And it can even, like it said, affect your work performance. And, you think that you're doing everything that you normally are supposed to do, but when you're making a whole bunch of mistakes or you're getting easily irritated over normal situations, everything at work is ticking you off because inside something's not right. We have to address those things, and we have to be honest with ourselves. And because, like, you go to your doctor and they say, yeah, that's a whole bunch of stuff that you're dealing with. But to us, it's nothing because maybe we feel like we have moved past it. But, like you said, our body hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got to listen. And I think the problem is that we don't listen to our body enough. And so one of the ways to help get out of the toxic relationship with yourself is to listen to your body and take action to help yourself, no matter what way that is. So I used to meditate a lot, and then I got out of it because I let life get in the way. But now it's like as soon as I wake up, it is the first thing that I will do to start my day, to just sit and meditate. So,
So I have something about the meditation, but I got to read with Shauna's comment first. Yes, I agree. I'm working on meditating and spending more time with myself,
mhm,
taking more ownership of my actions as well. Good
yeah,
job. Good
that's
job. And
awesome.
that's
That's
the whole
awesome.
point of it. Um, so meditation, I had a whole misconception about what meditation was. And I was listening because you had sent me something. I was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And I was listening to Miles Monroe yesterday, and one of the things he was talking about was to um, to meditate and pray, and those are two separate things.
Hmm.
And part of the meditation process, and even a part of the prayer process, is silence.
Hmm.
like basically shut up and listen. But
Mhm.
like, and I guess for me, I always think about the guided meditations where they're telling you what to think and maybe even telling you, um, some of them say they're meditations and they're telling you what to say, but I think maybe that's a guided affirmation. Help us understand the difference.
Well, a lot of people, meditation is a time for peace, to be at peace and to be alone within your thoughts, right? But oftentimes, the reason for the guided meditations is because sometimes people have difficulty sitting in that quiet and their mind wanders all over the place and they can't bring themselves back. So, guided meditations, I think, are really good because you're listening to a voice and you're just quiet and it's like telling you to breathe, right? And to visualize, because visualization is really, really important in the process, visualizing your life. So that's the guided meditation, right? If you're able to bring your thoughts back, because when we meditate and it's silent, our thoughts are going to wander. That's normal. But if you're able to bring
Mm-hmm.
yourself back, then you don't necessarily need the guided meditation. And then some
Okay.
guided meditations are specific to certain things, like they're calling in certain things into your life depending on what it is that you want.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's
All right. So
reaching into
yeah, I
certain
think
parts of your subconsciousness.
okay. All right, that makes sense. One, and if anyone, I know that there are lots of them on YouTube for anybody who, is looking for anything like that. There's like bunches of meditation videos if you need a place to start. There are even meditation apps. There's one called Headspace that like my son uses sometimes. That one's really good. And it helps with helping you learn because it is an exercise. It's like you do have to learn it, like how you learn to work out a certain way. And it's not complicated, but it's the practicing of being quiet and reeling your thoughts
Exercise
back
for your
in.
brain.
But yeah, it's exercise for your brain, right?
Mhm.
Well, those are basically all the things I had. I think we had some stuff similar, even though we didn't even talk about it together. Um, but before we kind of close up, I want to do two things. One, make sure that everybody got something from this today. If you did, give us some hearts. And if you have any questions, drop your questions in the comments. And as you're doing that, Jennifer, I wanted to ask you about you have something coming up. I think this is it Wednesday,
Yeah.
in reference to like your inner bully.
Yes. So we all have an inner bully. We all have that inner critic that will either deter us from trying to get stuff done, tell us that we're no good, or remind us of all the failures we've ever experienced. All of those kinds of things. We all have that. But we what we need to do is learn how to manage it and use it to our advantage because that inner bully can inform us and help propel us forward. And so on Wednesday, we're going to have a masterclass, a free masterclass, to help people learn about how to manage their inner bully. And I believe there are 9 suggestions at the towards the end of it to
Yeah.
really talk about what you can practically do right now to help fight off or manage that inner bully.
Okay. And if that sounds like something that is free, okay, so
Mhm.
all you guys have to do is just hop on Facebook with us on, it's this coming, it's the 29th, and I believe that first one is going to be at 9. Let me look at the calendar.
9 p.m.
Yeah,
Eastern
that first one's
Standard
going to be
Time.
at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, and it'll be on Jennifer Slay's Facebook page. So I'll put her Facebook page in the comments and go ahead and like the page and turn on notifications so you can be reminded of when it's going to get started. But if you have some free time, it doesn't, you can just turn it on and listen to it. It can be interactive if you want to comment or anything like that. There a daily must do that you would recommend to move past inner toxicity? That's actually part of the 9 tips that will be in the masterclass on Wednesday, and it's free. It's going to be right here on Facebook. I'll share it onto my page too, but it'll be on Jennifer's page. So I feel like I was led here to hear this. Oh yes, Washada,
Awesome.
yay!
Great.
Good. Yeah, that's what we want. Like every week, that's what we want. Is for everybody to feel like we gave them something they were led here to get. So yay.
That's
That feels
awesome.
good to know.
So yes,
Yes.
come on Wednesday. Come on Wednesday and hear the practical tips. They'll be the like I said, they're practical. There's 9 of them. You choose the ones that you think are going to work best for you, so that you can feel successful. So like during the talk, what I'll say is there's 9 here, but I want you to choose 1 or 2 that you can do right now. Not all 9 at the same time, because
Right.
then you're not gonna keep it up. We want to start producing new good habits, right? New good habits.
And if you guys can join Tara, there we can get you the replay if there's if you can't join at that time. But it's really something good. And there will be two more, right? We'll
Mhm.
have the next Slay Sunday actually
Yeah,
next
next
Sunday.
week. Is it next week?
Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing a
Next
master
Sunday will
class.
be the master class. If you can't catch the one on Wednesday, we're just trying to fit into everybody's schedule. So next Sunday will be one, and there'll be another one in June. So we have a couple that'll be going on, but the first one will be on this coming Wednesday at 9. So we'll share some information about that. But we really appreciate everybody hopping on. I'm so grateful that you appreciate what we had to talk about with you guys today. And we'll see you next Sunday and some of you on Wednesday.
Yes,
Enjoy the rest of your day
yes. Enjoy, you
and
guys.
slay your week.
Late week. Bye.
Bye.